It means the demise of Canada, really.
Well, congrats, Canada. Loyalty to identity politics has helped take us from land acknowledgements to land appropriation, and you're supposed to own nothing and be happy about that. At least, that could be the near future for British Columbians and beyond. I'm Drea Humphrey with Rebel News with more on the Richmond land grab story.
This is what the band already had given to them in August. This is the condo units here along the Fraser River, and now this is the outline that they're going after, which includes City of Richmond land too. So that's why they have a huge stake in this. We bring the immigration, so Indians come here and they are instantaneously Canadians, but we as Canadians have been here for generations and we don't count. We have to fight for our Canadian citizenship, for owning land. It is a spiral that is going out of control. It is the Liberal government. The NDP is not helping. I also sent a big message out on Facebook to Mr. Ebby to say, you know, you need to get this government under control because the citizens of British Columbia deserve more. They deserve more than what we're getting. And if it was his family home that was being challenged and the thought of somebody coming and taking that, I can guarantee you this would not be happening.
In August, the Supreme Court of Canada shocked Canadians and the future of land ownership rights in the province of British Columbia by giving nearly 8 kilometers of land in the city of Richmond, BC, Aboriginal title. Now, you've probably seen that letter that's more recently been circulating online, showing that it isn't stopping there, my friends. Oh no. Because while the other parties in that landmark Cowichan Tribes vs. Canada decision are appealing that ruling, so is the Cowichan Tribes. They're not happy. They want more. Today, I speak with Angela, who is a Richmond landowner. Not just a landowner, she is the landowner who's behind that letter that has been circulating. It was sent to her, signed by the mayor of Richmond, warning her that now her property and her neighbor's property on that land, well, they could be affected by this Richmond land grab attempt too. But first, let me be clear. Her property and others affected by this Richmond land grab attempt is fee simple title property under the Land Title Act, which is supposed to be the strongest and most complete form of private land ownership recognized in our country. And if this ruling sticks, may I remind you that 100% of British Columbia's land is currently being claimed by many bands who don't even agree with each other about whose land is whose. Oh, and when I said that all parties are appealing the decision, I don't mean landowners like Angela. Silly me. Why would that be the case? It's just their homes, right? No. Despite the Cowichan Tribes filing to claim their land back in 2013, 11 years ago, Angela and her property neighbors just found out about this like you did. The landowners have no say. But the Cowichan Tribes do, and that say is mostly stories. Stories that have been passed down for generations. You know, kind of like unmarked grave stories. I digress. There will be more reports from me on this subject at our special website where you have a petition you can sign to take action. It's called stopundrip.com. You can also learn about UNDRIP, which is one of the key contributors to what I call reconciliation overreach, which, if you haven't noticed yet, is a problem. Let's hear from Angela. Angela, thanks for having me in your lovely home here. But it's not a lovely story about some of the land you own that we're going to talk about. I want you to take us back to when you first received this letter in front of you and what was going through your mind when you read what you read.
I think it was shock at first. We were literally just up at the other house and I was coming out the door and this fellow in his car came up, walked over and said, "This is for you." It was unmarked because, of course, it just says to registered owner. But I was like, oh, what the heck is this? Looked at it, thought it was kind of a joke in a way, even though it said the City of Richmond on it, but it literally is stating that the property that is outlined in this, which if you see here, this is what they were already given in August to what I think that's happened by the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And so now the tribe has come back and outlined a larger area in green, of which there's 4 condo buildings that sit there. And they are fee simple owned. They were not on leased land. We've purchased the condo outright. Mm-hmm. And now we're saying that the Cowichan band is making a claim on it.
It's so much to unpack here, and you're absolutely right. So the black zone is what the Supreme Court has ruled is now Aboriginal title. And if there was any private landowners in there, which there were, that was deemed to have been a defective decision to basically give that title. Now that's on appeal. All parties involved, not landowners, all parties involved are disputing this. And the Cowichan Tribes is disputing to say, hey, no, we claim a lot more, which is what the green zone is and is where you're a condo owner.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how long you've had the condo there, why you chose that specific place, and what it's like there. What's special about it?
Well, it's a beautiful setting. It's right on the Fraser River. So I know that some people may not appreciate that, but this is not our principal residence. We bought it as a investment for our retirement. So we've had it, we bought it right from brand new. So my goodness, I think it's 13 years, 14 years. I can't remember, but right from brand new. I've had a renter in it the entire time. Never was anything mentioned to us that this was on any kind of disputed land. That was never, ever disclosed. So this is such a surprise. It's almost shocking. So yes, we don't live in this property. It is a rental property. So a lot of people think, well, she has more than she needs, but that's really not the point. The point is that a band can come in and make claim to something from 450 years ago because they picked some blackberries on the side of the road. And it was passed down. The information was passed down from, there's no written, just so everyone knows, there is no written claim to this land. It's all from generation to generation to generation that grandma tells that they picked blackberries along the Fraser River there. And so that's why it's their land now.
It's very shocking. Your oral testimony is what you're referring to, yes. And historical documents, but that don't go back to what you're talking about. So I see what you're saying there. And something else stands out to me when you're saying you bought this property around 13 years ago, you've owned it. You shouldn't apologize for it needing to be for your retirement, especially in today's economy. Yeah. That's just called being...
you're giving somebody else a place to live.
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody can own, and that's just the way life is. So if you take away all the landlords, where is everybody living?
Absolutely. Now, but you said 13 years, and this case that we're now seeing the product of, that's been going on for 11 years. When did you find out your property was at stake? 4 days ago.
Literally, it's Monday. We got this letter on Thursday. I had not a clue, not a clue.
So what goes through your head when you're like, all of this has been happening behind our backs about our land, and it might be deemed that it's Aboriginal title?
Well, you chalk it up to everything that we know. Mainstream media is filtered by the government. They tell us what we want to know. We're conditioned to know what they want us to know. Because immediately when I got this, I thought it was like, is this actually true? And then you start going online, and then, you start digging up information, and then you hear of this UNDRIP. And I'm like, this has actually been in the works for so long, and we as Canadians have no idea. But it's very scary, the unknown. Obviously, I don't know anything yet. We're going to a meeting at the City Hall
28th.
On the 28th of October. So hopefully I'll have some more answers then, and hopefully I can post about that when we kind of get some answers. But do I have any real firm feeling that the mayor is going to do anything? Or can he? Let's face it, it's the Supreme Court that makes this decision. And the first Supreme Court said, yes, it's all yours.
Well, and not to mention the city of Richmond, like many other cities, have been declaring being on unceded land this whole time. We hear that mantra all the time. We see it in emails. We know kids, students are being told to do that, to basically admit that they're on unceded, stolen land. How, if any way, has your opinion on those land acknowledged mantras changed after what's happening to you now?
Oh, they haven't changed because I've disagreed with those from the second. I work and volunteer whenever you go to a meeting. You know that every time you say that statement, you've already given that land. If you're admitting that you're already sitting on unceded territory, then you've already admitted that what we're sitting on and standing on is not ours to keep. Mm-hmm. So why do we say that? So all you're doing is already giving them permission to come at you. Nobody stole this land, not to my knowledge. Things happen in history. We're here. And it's mine. Like, this will be such a, what do you call it? When it's like not a standard, but when it's
precedent.
A precedent that you can take just by appealing to the Supreme Court of Canada to take people's homes and what they've bought and paid for and worked hard to do and sacrificed for that, and in a stroke of a pen, say it's no longer yours. I don't know. Will we be compensated? I have no idea I don't even know what any of this even means at this point for us as homeowners.
Personally, I agree with you as on a personal level. But what would you say to the sector of Canadians that say, oh my goodness, what you're saying is racist?
Well, that's not racist. That's not the definition of racism. Thinking another group of people is less than you is racism. I have nothing against Indigenous people. They're lovely. They've got a lot of friends. But that doesn't mean that just because a people lived somewhere many, many, many generations ago, and what happened then should not be allowed to come full circle hundreds of years later. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that happening in the States? It's kind of mind-boggling that the Supreme Court of Canada can make a judgment on land that is for all Canadians, make a judgment 100% for one side when the other side, which is us, the homeowners, weren't even aware that this was even happening. I mean, we were aware that the city or that the Supreme Court awarded some land in Richmond. And like you said, we all kind of went, oh, that sucks. But guess what? We were already involved and didn't even know. Mm-hmm. And we literally got this letter out of the blue. Everyone's taking a deep breath. And so, I know where my heart is. God's got me, so I'm not worried. So my hope is in Jesus, not in this world.
Well, and if we also look at the history, tribes themselves were at war with each other over territories. So
yes, this conversation could literally go on all night because it drives me. Oh, it honestly makes me crazy because I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't educate themselves. They eat up the 5 o'clock news like it's dinner, and then they re-spew everything they hear from the CBC. I'm like, have you done any research at all on anything they're telling you? Because if you did, you might learn something. I think we have to stop being lazy Canadians and start doing some research when we get stuff.
Well, the fact that you know the definition of racism puts you ahead of many people who use that word all the time. Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying. People, I think, don't even fascism. They throw words out. I'm like, I don't even know if I know the definition of that, but they throw it out like it's nothing. Yeah.
The only thing we know for sure is it means less stability, it would seem, for landowners in British Columbia, potentially Canada. British Columbia was the first jurisdiction in the entire world to take the UN's aspirational framework for Indigenous rights without including anybody else's rights. And BC said, you know what, we're going to make all of our laws form to that. So that's been part of sort of the shift that we're seeing here. But you're right, we don't know all of the answers. Right. I'll be bringing more reports on this, like I already have at stopundrip.com. But why don't we end with what message do you have, or would you have, if you were talking to the city of Richmond directly, or the province, even the federal government, or even the Cowichan tribes themselves, about what you're going through, what this means for your family, what you think it means for Canada?
Yeah, it means the demise of Canada, really. We've been here for generations. And, I saw this may be totally, you might need to edit this out, but, it's so true that we bring the immigration. So Indians come here and they are instantaneously Canadians, but we as Canadians have been here for generations and we don't count. We have to fight for our Canadian citizenship, for owning land. It is a spiral that is going out of control. It is the Liberal government. The NDP is not helping. I also sent a big message out on Facebook to Mr. Ebby to say, you need to get this government under control, because the citizens of British Columbia deserve more. They deserve more than what we're getting. And if it was his family home that was being challenged, and the thought of somebody coming and taking that, I can guarantee you this would not be happening.
At Rebel News, we don't back down from bringing you the other side of the story, which is why we've warned you about UNDRIP and land acknowledgements and so on, despite every name that we get called under the sun for doing so. If you appreciate that we bring you the other side of the story that the mainstream media, who's paid by the state, handsomely does not, please consider keeping us alive and functioning by donating what you can at our special website called stopundrip.com.